Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to QPAC Live, a program of the Queensborough Performing Arts Center located on the campus of Queensborough Community College in Queens, New York. I am your host, Susan Agan. We are so happy to have you here with us tonight. How are you? I want to know. Give me a shout out in the comment section. Let me know how you're doing. We come to you every week to celebrate the arts with programs that are unique and exciting. And tonight is no exception. Tonight, we are celebrating the music of the great Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. I am so excited. We have a fabulous program for you. And you know what makes this medium so much fun? It's interactive. So you can comment as you watch our broadcast. You can comment just below, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. You could give us some comments. You could ask us some questions if you have a question for myself or for our guest tonight. And we'll be able to see it as we broadcast to you, and we'll be able to respond. So that's what makes this so special. Just a quick note, if you are watching on YouTube, you do have to sign in with a name and a password in order to comment. So we do hope that we hear from you tonight. Now, some announcements. Have you liked us on Facebook? Are you following us on Twitter and Instagram? Did you subscribe to us on YouTube? Gee, there's so many things to remember. Well, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and do that, because this way you'll be notified when we go live. I don't want you to miss any of these exciting programs. You could also visit us at our website, www.visitqpac.org, and join our mailing list. And this way you'll always know what's going on. Have you joined us for Name That Tune or Bingo? Well, if you haven't, you must join in on the fun. I'm telling you, this is great fun. You have your dinner, or you bring your dinner, you put it in front of the computer, you tune on. We do it on Tuesday nights, just about every other Tuesday night. And it is interactive, fabulous virtual fun with our host, DJ Bucciarelli. And there are real prizes. You could win Amazon gift cards, Dunkin' Donuts gift cards, and all sorts of other things. So if you know music, then you're going to want to tune in to Name That Tune with a special bingo game. So it's both Name That Tune and bingo. And also, just another announcement before we begin. As things are beginning to open up here in New York, we are expanding our programming. And so now QPAC is at the drive-in. And I just want to show you what's coming up. So let's do that. QPAC at the drive-in. So these programs are socially distanced, and they're terrific fun. And well, the gang's all there, and we want you to come too. Here are just some pictures of some of our wonderful viewers who have shown up at these fabulous events. And you can see everybody sort of has their own pod, their own area, if you will. There's the stage. We also have two beautiful LED screens, so you won't miss a thing. Our first concert was the fabulous Doo-Wop Project. And here are some folks having a good time. And then we had the fabulous Soul Cruisers. That was Motown. Which was just great fun. And upcoming for all you rock and rollers this month, we've got Broadway's Rock of Ages Band. Yes, these are the Broadway folks. These are the folks that performed the show Rock of Ages on Broadway, and they are going to rock out for you. And if that is not enough, after that, after Rock of Ages, in August, we have the Kings of Disco. So if disco is your thing, you're going to want to join us there. Now, spots are limited. So if any of these concerts are of interest to you, I do urge you to log on to www.visitqpac.org to reserve your seat. So, are you ready? I can't hear you. Are you ready? We are so looking forward to our guest and our tribute tonight, of course, to Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. So, without further ado, I would like you to help me welcome tonight's guest, John Michael Coppola. John, where are you? Come on in.
Hi, Susan. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Doing well. Thank you so much for asking.
I'm thrilled to have you here. Of course, you tell us a little bit about the four C notes. How did you get to that name?
Well, it's sort of a triple entendre, if you will. So, it's sort of alliterative of the four seasons, of course. The four C notes. My last name is Coppola, so it stands for the C is in Coppola. But also, then there's that slang term, a C note, as being $100 bill. Some people tell us we look like $1 million sometimes, but yeah, the four C notes has got like a little like throwback phrasing to it. So that's really where the name came from. It's sort of
You
a little fun on all those
that
turns of phrase.
that is so interesting to me because I was trying to figure it out myself,
Mhm.
and I didn't go with the most obvious, which of course your last name begins with a C. I mean,
Most people
why?
don't actually. So most people don't.
But you know what I was thinking? Of course, Frankie Valli has a very high voice. And I was thinking about all those high C notes that he hits. And I said, well, of course, it's the high C notes that, you and the guys have to sing in all these songs.
So now I can add another explanation. Whenever I get that question asked in the future, I have now four answers for people. That's actually something that never really came across my brain, believe it or not.
That is unbelievable. That's great.
Yeah,
That's great. So, as you know, of course, we have a lot of viewers with us tonight,
yeah.
and I see, Diane's here. Diane says, looking forward. She said she's doing great. Looking forward to the program. I've seen the four C notes in person 2 years ago. They are awesome. So, thank
Thank
you,
you, Diane,
Diane.
for that.
Thank you so much. And and we have a Camille and Adele's here and Arlene and just the gang's all here. So during the night we'll be taking questions from our audience
Okay.
and we'll see if anybody can stump you. Um, Now let me ask you,
Yeah.
the music of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, it's not new music,
No.
right? But audiences love it. What
Mhm.
is it, do you think, that gives these songs their staying power?
Well, obviously, the most obvious is the musical Jersey Boys. I mean, it's been around now for going on almost 20 years. Starting on Broadway, now playing off Broadway all over the country, all over the world. So it's ushered in brand new generations of people that maybe had heard it when they were little, when their parents were listening to it, or their grandparents, and now they're adults and they love the music. Plus, the music itself has been revived by other artists. Like the Spinners did their own version of Working My Way Back to You, Babe. When I saw Jersey Boys and I heard that song, I had actually never heard the Seasons version of it. I'd always knew the Spinners had sung it, but I didn't know the Four Seasons originated the song. And then even songs like "Beggin'," that's had a resurgence the last decade from artists in France. And somebody just texted me the other day, one of my guys in the group, that somebody covered it on TikTok in Italy last week, and it's blowing up on TikTok. So the music sort of gets recycled from generation to generation as well. That's sort of why it continues, is because people are picking it up and recycling it, if you will. But the songs themselves, they have that lick. They've got that those little earworm quality, and they're singable tunes. People love them. Make you want to get up and dance. So all those things wrapped up. I mean, Bob Gaudio, he knew how to write a hit, and people even to this day sort of recognize that. That's why they're recycling his stuff, because they realize that it's pretty good.
You're absolutely right. I love that young people know these. Well, of course, then also Frankie, when he did Grease and
Yeah,
Grease, the song Grease. So then there was that whole generation of, Frankie Valli. And then of course
yeah,
they wanted to hear more from him. But
yeah.
it just seems that every generation from the time these songs became hits,
Mhm.
um, just latched onto them. And you're
Yeah.
right, they're feel good songs. They're happy songs. Arlene says, I love to see the comments from our guests. My high school sweetheart dedicated the song "Oh What a Night" to me, and that was our song for the 5 years we dated, from 15 to 20. Thank you,
Yeah.
Arlene. Well, that's it also. Oh, Ron
People have
DeStefano.
a lot of people with these songs, people, whenever we do a concert or a private event, people come up to us and say, oh my God, you brought me so way back. I remember where I was the first time I heard those songs. And that's really kind of what happened with Jersey Boys too. People were reliving their wonder years, if you will. And so we're grateful for that. We could bring those memories back to people regularly.
And then, of course, you bring up Jersey Boys. Um, then we got to see you know, into the life of Frankie Valli and the Four
Yeah.
Seasons, and how they came to be, and how they came together, and then once they got started, it was hit off after hit. And of course, there were some, Frankie's had some really, as all of us have had some
Yeah.
really difficult times. And let me ask you a question, because of
Yeah.
course you played the role of Frankie Valli
I
in the
understudied
show.
it. If
You
I
understand?
covered the role. Yeah.
You covered the role. Did you cover it in Chicago?
In Chicago, the entire 2.5 year run. And I was also the dance captain, and I covered Joe Pesci and two guys in the ensemble. So it was a busy job for me for 2.5 years, and I loved every minute of it.
I love the Joe Pesci part. I mean, that is just fabulous. But yet, talk to me for a minute. So when you got into the show,
Mhm.
um, were there things about Frankie Valli that you didn't already know, that you thought, wow, or isn't this interesting? I mean, what did you find out about him that you didn't know before?
I mean, kind of all of it. I mean, really, it was really surprising on so many levels, from not just as a cast member, but anybody who saw the show for the first time. They were so popular, and their story was never told. And, there were a lot of things that I related to as well, from being like, for example, for being a father. There's the part in the show. I'm not going to give any spoilers for people who have never seen the show, but he gets a tragedy later on in his life, and that resonated with me as a young father at the time so strong. And like, I would go to understudy rehearsals and I would literally sob my way through that scene, and we'd have to stop rehearsal because I couldn't get through it. I mean, those are the things that I sort of connected with. But the story was remarkable when I saw it on Broadway. And then when you're sitting there reading the script for the first time, you sort of shake your head going, man, these guys really lived a life, and it's all true. I mean, they made some theatrical decisions to, swap names or places or scenarios, but it's 100% true. And that's really, truly one of the great stories, I think, in rock and roll, that they, saw so much and persevered the way they did. And, and to this day, he's in his mid 80s and he's still touring the world. I mean, it's remarkable.
He's unbelievable. I
Yeah.
I felt when I saw the show, of course I've seen it a few times. I would cheer them on from the beginning.
Yeah.
Beginning to the end. You wanted to see that, and of course they succeed, right? But
Right.
even so, I got so caught up in the story. I thought it was so well written
Yeah.
that you cheer them on from beginning to end.
And part of that genius is that you don't hear one Frankie Valli of Four Seasons hit until 45 minutes into the show. They keep the audience in suspense. You meet Frankie, you meet Bob, you're waiting for them to meet, and you kind of like, and they do Cry for Me. Cry for Me gets a huge applause because we hear that sound for the first time in the show. But then
Right.
you don't hear another song for another 20 minutes. And that's why the audience goes crazy. And then you hear the first three hits they ever had. That's 10, 15 minutes of music, and the audience just goes crazy. It's just a big buildup, and then just soars from there. The construction of the show is truly, truly brilliant.
It really is. I agree with you 100%. Um, how do you keep those high seas going? It is not easy to sing Frankie Valli night after night after night.
Yes.
Um, how do you keep that your voice in that sort of place?
Well, my diet has changed a lot as I've gotten older. I try and really reduce my gluten intake. I have little to no dairy, particularly when I've got a lot of performances in a row. But the biggest secret, worst kept secret, is when they're doing a Broadway show, they've got what they call matinee Frankie. I've got a couple of other guys in my roster now who also sing the lead vocals, because when we have that many shows back to back in a week, I simply can't do them all anymore. We've been around for 8 years, which is a great problem to have. That I've gotten so busy that some nights I just want to take a break, and so I'll move myself to the baritone track and have another young gun sing the lead stuff. But as far as diet, it's really a matter of diet, hydration, rest. Because it's our concert is 90 minutes, and
Right.
out of that 90 minutes, 75% of it is the lead vocals resting on the lead vocalist. Everybody's got their own solos, and so the guys take the lead vocals for songs like "Cry for Me" and "My Eyes Adored You" and "Working
Mm.
My Way." We do a lot of medleys, so a lot of the guys have solos within the medleys. So I didn't tax myself, and the show has evolved over the last 8 years, where even the script has changed, where the lead vocalist is not talking so much, and a lot of the introductions are now being parsed out among everybody to save the
So that
vocal
you can
chops of the
save,
lead
that
vocalist.
makes
Yeah.
sense. So you can save your voice. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
It took me 8 years to
interesting.
figure it out, but it finally got it to that point.
It's interesting because I've interviewed a lot of Broadway folk and pop singers and so forth, and many of them have said to me, there's no shame in, as you get a little bit older, to lowering the key just a little bit. But what I find, for some of the, and people don't always notice. I mean, if you're lowering a song, a half a step, people are not really noticing that, but I've seen Frankie live a
Mm-hmm.
whole bunch of times,
Mm-hmm.
and he sings in the original keys, and
It's pretty
that
remarkable.
that I can't wrap my head around.
Me neither. Me neither. I mean, our concert, we have 90% of it is in the original keys. Some of the things we adjusted because we have so many medleys, in order for the transitions to sort of ease into one another more easily. We changed a couple of the keys, but largely we're singing in the original keys too. We have either with a live band, or sometimes, most of the time, we perform with high quality music tracks, because we do a lot of private events or park districts that don't have the footprint or the budget, frankly, to have a full band. So it's kind of fun, because people do always sort of have that same wild surprise, like, oh wow, these guys are really singing out there. And
And
even the other solo stuff, we call the Frankie's mid-range growl. Like, our bass vocalist in one of the medleys, he sings Opus 17 or "Don't You Worry About Me," and he's singing, "Why don't you come on," and then he's singing, "Oh, don't you worry." He's got a wide range in our show, and all these guys, are fantastic at it. But even the bass guys, when I threw that medley in the show, they were sort of like, "Oh, okay, I don't get to rest in this show anymore." And but yeah, it's such a wide vocal range, that we like to showcase all the colors of Frankie's voice in the show.
do you have to, when you sing that, those high notes,
Mm-hmm.
um, do you have to sort of, I mean, do you have a naturally high voice, or do you have to really place that sound someplace,
Oh, I have to place
yeah,
it. I mean, it's there. It wasn't until I got Jersey Boys. I actually had never had to sing in that range of my voice. I'd done lots of shows, and I always was in like a baritone or a bass track, because they had tenors were a dime a dozen in every show I did. They always needed guys to fill out the harmonies and stuff. So
right.
then I auditioned for Jersey Boys, and I worked on the material, and I was surprised to find I could get up there, but in order to like get up there and stay up there and maintain that over the duration, that took a lot of work. So I've now learned how and when to place it. Sometimes I could sort of, flip up there, sort of like in a little yodel sound, which is kind of, the easiest way to do it. And
Right.
sometimes you have to sort of do a little bit more of a mix and make it more of a belt for, like, the chorus of "Can't Take My Eyes Off You." I love you, babe. That's like
Right.
you can't really sing that too pretty, because it's such a passionate part of that song. So there's different moments in the show that have to be handled delicately and
That
differently
have to be
vocally.
handled differently. People
Yeah,
think it all comes just so naturally, but
yeah,
really, for a singer, a lot of things, you make sort of a deliberate choice when it comes
have
to
to,
a lot of music. I'm gonna
you
sing it
have to,
this way, I'm gonna place it this way.
yeah.
Um,
And
Interesting.
over the long haul of a Broadway run, like, there's a lot of times, like, "Working My Way" comes to mind. Frankie really like growls out, "Working my way," but you
Right,
can't do that 8 shows a week or even 6 shows a week. Now, most guys can't, I should say. Jared Spector, who's a very good friend, he's an idol of mine. He worked that growl into that show over his near decade long run of that show. I still don't know how he did it, but he's like, as far as I'm concerned, cream of the crop, best Frankie that ever played that part, because he really dug into those vocals after a while, because he wanted to make it as authentic as he could. But otherwise, I don't know how that's possible for most mere mortals.
Well, exactly. I really marvel. I marvel, like you said, at that, having to growl. Look, the show on Broadway that paid tribute to, oh my goodness gracious, I just forgot, Janis Joplin, right?
Oh yeah,
So, I mean,
exactly.
whoop, hold on, I'm getting a weird message. Oh, what's
All
happening?
weird messages.
I'm getting a weird thing. Okay, so you can't see me, but you can hear me there. Oop, oop. I
I
don't
see
know.
you a little something halfway. I see from your nose down. We can hear you though. Oh, I think we lost you. Well, can anybody still hear me out there? I'll keep the conversation going. We've got a lot of comments over here. Howard Tucker, how are you, my friend? Good to see you.
I am here. Can you hear me?
We can now.
Okay, so I'm just having a little camera issue.
Okay.
So yes, Howard Tucker, we're going to come back and do all of this Q&A.
Oh, lost you again, Susan. My brother's logged on. He said he can hear me, so I'll keep the conversation going for everybody. See, hi, Howard Tucker is a good buddy of mine. Sherry Cohen, I love that song, Sherry. Sherry, little story. We have a young lady here in Chicago area who sees about 95% of our shows. Her name is Marlene, and we do a medley of girl songs. And whenever we hit Marlena, she's in her glory. She loves that we sing that song at every show. So Sherry is also another, obviously, really good one. I know, Rosemary. Hopefully, Susan will get to figure it out. She's the reason why we're all here. So you just got to look at my face for the moment. Who else do we have on here? Camille Bass. Camille, that's my mom's name. She's also watching tonight. And my son is there too. Yeah, Ron DeStefano. Jersey Boys has been around close to 20 years.
Thank you, John. I'm so sorry for that. I want to tell everybody before we go any further, I just want to say that we had a crazy, wild flash flood storm in New York, and my internet, everything just died. Of course, 5 minutes before we come on. Listen, this is live theater, no matter how you look at it. You could be in a Broadway house, or you could be doing what we're doing here. Anything that can happen usually does, and we roll right along. And by the way, that's why John does what he does so well, because he rolls with the punches. So thank you, John.
My pleasure.
If with your permission, without further ado, I'd like to get to the program for tonight.
Please.
I want to tell our viewers, go ahead, type your questions in the comment, and we will try to get to as many questions as we possibly can. Also, do keep in mind that we're bringing all of this to you for free. So you will see in the comment section a link for donations. If you are so inclined, whatever you can donate, $1, $10, $20, whatever you can donate, that's very helpful to us. So, John, are we ready to rock and roll?
Let's hit it.
Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the 4 C notes.
Oh, what a night. Late December back in 63. What a very special time for me. As I remember, what a night. All right, Devin, it's your turn, my friend. Oh, what a night. I didn't even know her name, but I was never gonna be the same. What a lady, what a night. All right, Devin, time for you to join this party. Oh, I got a funny feeling when she walked in the room. Yeah, as I recall, it ended much too soon. Oh, what a night. Hypnotizing, mesmerizing me. She was everything I dreamed she'd be. sweet surrender, what a night. Folks, we're so thrilled for you to join us for this very special event. We're the four C-Notes from Chicago, Illinois. We're going to give you all the greatest hits of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
I felt a rush like a rolling ball of thunder, spinning my head around and taking my body under.
All right, folks, we are off and running. Thanks again for joining us for our virtual concert. Once again, we are the Four C-Notes. We're Chicago's only tribute to Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, and we've been seen all over the country at public and private events. And everywhere we go, we always start with this first medley. Now, we do a lot of medleys in our show because it's the best way to get a lot of hits in a really short amount of time. And this first medley we're going to do are the first 3 number 1 hits the season's ever had, and you guys are going to know all these tunes all night long. So sing loud and sing proud and get your dance shoes on and join us, and we're going to have a great big party, all right? I'm going to come over here. I'm going to count us off for the very top of this medley. Oh, 1, a 2, oh, 1, 2, 3.
Sherry, Sherry baby, Sherry. Sherry baby, Sherry, Sherry baby, Sherry baby,
Sherry, can you come out tonight?
Come out tonight.
Sherry baby, Sherry, can you come out tonight?
Why don't you come on?
Come to my twist
Come on. Come on.
we'll dance the night away. I'm gonna make you mine.
Sherry baby,
Sherry, can you come out tonight?
come out tonight. Come out tonight. Sherry baby,
Tell her everything is alright.
why don't you come on?
Put your red dress on.
Come on.
You look so fine.
Come on. don't cry.
Big girls don't cry.
That's just an alibi. Big girls don't cry. Big girls don't cry.
Oh, how you try, guy. Cut me down the side, telling dirty lies to my friends. My own father said, give her up, don't bother. The world isn't coming to an end.
He said, walk like a man, talk like a man, walk like a man, my son. No woman's worth crawling on the earth.
So walk like a man, my son. Ooh.
Walk, 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 walk.
Bye, baby. I don't mean maybe. I wanna get along somehow. Soon you'll be crying. Count about your lying. Yeah, just to look who's laughing now.
I'm gonna walk like a man, fast as I can. Walk like a man from you. I'll tell the world, forget about it, girl,
And walk like a man from you.
walk, 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 walk like a man, like a man.
Well, yay! I got to get John back in here. John, like my favorite songs.
Never gets old, right?
Oh, it just never gets. I went, wait a minute. Part one is oh, folks, by the way, we've got part two for you. Don't go anywhere. A few quick questions and we're going to see the second half. John, Rosemary wants to know, what was the first Frankie Valli song you sang, and what's the one that gets the biggest sort of reaction out of the audience?
So the first one I probably sang, I know that I sang consciously knowing it was his, was Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. Because when I was auditioning for the show, that was like the one they wanted us to sing and really prepare. And my wife was pregnant at the time, so I sang it to her belly a lot. So it was the one that I always got to sing early on. And in the concert, it sort of varies. So sometimes it's tough, I Can't Take My Eyes Off of You when they hear the horns, but a lot of the time it's My Eyes Adored You. And they don't start applauding until they hear My Eyes Adored You. And whoever's singing the baritone track that night, they're the ones that get the biggest applause because they're the ones that sing. Because we do Can't Take in Act 1, My Eyes in Act 2. So those are the two I would say that get the biggest reaction. Of course, people are singing and dancing the whole show, but those would be definitely the strongest answer to that question.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Thank you for that question, Rosemary.
Thanks, Rosemary.
If you do have any questions, go ahead, put them in the comments section, and we're going to try to have John answer as many as we can. So then what, in your opinion, is the least popular song that you sing in your set?
So we do a medley that we internally call the ones that got away. And it's 4 hits that didn't pass the top 10, but that everybody still recognizes as the 4 seasons. So I would say out of those 4, and it's it starts with Save It For Me, goes into Opus 17 or Don't You Worry About Me, Tell It to the Rain, and Girl Come Running. So I'd probably say out of those 4, Girl Come Running is the one that has that people have the least excitement on their face for. Because the other ones, like Opus 17, of course, that's from Jersey Boys. Save It For Me was a pretty big hit for them. It went to number 10.
Yeah, well, I love that song. Yeah.
Girl Come Running was only up to number 30, so that wasn't quite as popular. But people do still, you see the mouths moving, people recognize them. But out of all our entire concert, that's definitely the one that's the least, that gets the people least excited.
Now, you alluded to this a little bit earlier about your dance background.
Yeah.
And, of course, we do a little snooping on this show. So
Oh,
we
boy.
know, yes. So we know, in particular, Vinny, if you're out there, Vinny is a big snooper. So we know that you were the dance captain on a number of different shows.
Yeah.
And so what we want to know, did you choreograph and teach the dances for the 4 C notes?
I did, and I still do with every new roster of guys that comes in. Yeah, along with my wife. My wife is also a former Broadway dancer, so I have her help and guidance along the way. Whenever when we have new rosters of guys that are rehearsing and we're taking notes, she'll say, "Oh yeah, that's the one that I did." And I was like, okay, because we always talk about in terms of like the stuff you came up with, the stuff I came up with, or the steps had different names. So I did. And I do, and it's not changed. That has not changed that much over the 8 years because I've got guys who have been with the group since it started. So that way their brains don't explode. I don't like to change choreography too much. Again, the script has changed a little bit, but it's been fun, and it's reminiscent of a lot of what the Jersey Boys choreography is. I didn't borrow from any of it. I was very, very cognizant of that. That's Sergio Trujillo's choreography, and it's. I wouldn't say it's copyrighted, but it's definitely his look and his vocabulary, and I respect it very much. I wouldn't want anybody to steal my work, so I was very careful to emulate it, but not copy it.
Well, I appreciate that, but there are some moves that, I mean, just if you're doing a little bit of one of these things, I mean, there's some moves that just everybody does, and that's sort of, that's sort of up for grabs, I would say.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Howard Tucker seems to know a lot about.
Howard's a good friend. Howard
friend.
Actually. Yeah, he's been a longtime Jersey Boys fan. He's friends with lots of the cast members worldwide. He saw me when I debuted my solo concert in New Jersey back in 2013, 14. And he's kept in communication since then. He's a really, really good friend, part of the Jersey Boys family for sure.
Interesting. Yeah. He says Girl Come Running only got to number 29 on Billboard. The others were right about at number 10. Thank you, Howard. That's very interesting.
In fact, I'll tell you how sharp Howard is. When we recorded that virtual concert, at some point I stumbled over the course of these many months of not doing anything. We recorded the virtual last summer. And on the virtual, I say, we do a version of We Used to Love Me Tomorrow. And I say in the middle of it that the season's version made it all the way to number 30 in 1968. Well, when he saw it, he said, I think it actually went to number 24. And he's right. It went to 24. And for some reason, when I recorded it, and it's now forever, on film, I said the wrong Billboard date. And when I investigated, and in our script, I have written down 24. Only through the course of time, it came out wrong. So I thank Howard for setting me straight on that. I gave all the guys who sing vocal lead, hey, by the way, in case you've been saying this wrong, they were like, I wasn't saying it wrong. So it was only me that was saying it wrong. So thank you, Howard, for your constant advice and help.
Look, you have a lot on your plate. When you go out there, when you're sort of the director and choreographer of a group and the lead singer, there's so much that can go wrong. And you've got it, and has, thank you, and has. Listen, somebody's costume rips on the way onto the stage. It's your problem, not anybody else's. So you're really carrying a tremendous amount on your shoulders. We appreciate that. And so, okay. Well, listen, we have so many more questions coming in, but we want to get to part 2. So folks, go ahead, pour yourself a drink. Maybe you're still eating dinner. That's terrific.
Only water.
Oh, that's great. We've got those
Yeah.
4C cups. Love them, love them. And so go ahead, get yourself a drink or get yourself, maybe you're up to dessert. That's fine. And do stay tuned. Here is part 2 of the 4C notes. Please don't forget, if at all possible, you can make a small donation. It is so greatly appreciated. I promise you that we will put it to good use. So here, once again, are the fabulous The 4 C notes. Here we go, part 2. See you in a bit.
Don't forget, we got 4 more songs in this medley, so just sit back, sit tight, and oh yeah, please
Stay, stay,
just a little bit longer.
stay.
Please, 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 please tell me that you're gonna
Stay.
Now your daddy don't mind, and your mama don't mind. If we have another dance here, just one more
time.
I want you
Stay.
just a little bit longer.
Stay.
Please, please, please tell me that you're gonna.
There ain't no good in our goodbying. True love takes a lot of trying. Whoa, I'm crying. Let's hang on to what we got. Don't let go, girl, we got a lot of love between us. Hang on to what we got. You say you're gonna go and call it quits, gonna chuck it all and break our love to bits. Break it up. Oh, we should never set it up. Oh no, we both regret it. That little chip of diamond on your hand ain't a fortune, baby, but you know it stands. For your love, to die and find us. We just can't leave behind us, baby. Don't you go, baby. Oh no, think it over and stay. Hey, let's hang on to what we've got. Don't let go, girl, we've got a lot of love between us. Hang on to what we got. There isn't anything I wouldn't do. I paid the price, getting good with you. Give me a second turning. Who's gonna help you through the night? Who loves you, pretty mama? Who's always there to make it? Who loves you? Who loves you, pretty baby? Who's gonna love your mama? Who loves you? Who loves your pretty baby? When tears are in your eyes and you can't find your way, it's hard to make believe you're happy when you're brave. Baby, when you're feeling like you'll never see the morning light, do come to me. Baby, you'll see who loves you, pretty baby. Who's gonna help you through the night? Who loves you, pretty mama? Who's always there to make it? Who loves you? Who loves you, pretty baby? Who's gonna love you, mama? Who loves you, pretty baby? And when you think the whole wide world has passed you by, you keep on trying, but you really don't know why. Baby, when you need a smile to help the shadows drift away, come to me. Baby, you'll see who loves you, pretty baby. Who's gonna help you through the night? Who loves you, pretty mama? Who's always there to make it? Bye bye, baby, baby, goodbye. Bye bye, bye bye, baby, don't make me cry. Bye bye, you're the one girl in town I'd marry. Girl, I'd marry you now if I were free. I wish it could be. I could love you, but why begin it? 'Cause there ain't any future in it. She's got me and I'm not free, so bye bye, baby, baby, goodbye. Bye bye, bye bye, baby, don't make me cry. Bye bye. Guess I never will know you better. Wish I knew you before I met her. Gee, how good you would be for me. Should've told you that I can linger. Got a wedding ring on my finger. She's got me and I'm not free, so bye bye, baby, goodbye. Bye bye, baby, don't make me cry. Come on time, Mr. Dan Gold, Mr. Devin DeSantis, Mr. David Wilmer, and I am John Michael Coppola. We are the 4 C Notes. Thank you folks again for joining us, and we hope you had a great time. If you have some time to yourselves, please visit the4cnotes.com. Good night!
Yay! Come on in, John. Woo! Bravo! Bravo! I really felt like I was at the theater tonight.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. We did that. We filmed that in front of no people. It was in front of empty theater, and it's challenging because you usually get so much energy back from the audience.
Yes.
And we did it in one day. We hired a camera crew in a local venue here in Skokie. We all got negative tested for COVID. All the crew was masked, so it was very, very safe. And then editing it took several more weeks, but I think it paid off. It certainly looks good on camera. So appreciate you the feedback and the positive words.
I felt the energy. I felt the energy. I kept going more, one more. Listen, are the boys back on the road yet? Are you starting to book now?
Yeah, we're booked already into the early of 2022 already. All the gigs that we had last summer, we do a lot of dates in the Chicago area for the summer. They all got pushed to the summer, and every week I'm getting one or two more requests for like late summer private events, public events, all within the local area, and some are out of town. So yeah, we're definitely back to just about full swing. And have a couple of things.
Are they indoors? Are they indoors, outdoors?
Most are outdoors because they're park districts or villages that do free concerts during the week, and that's pretty common in Chicago. They want to take advantage of the nice weather when they've got it all summer long. But there's a few performing arts centers later in the year, October, November, and then in the new year that are going to be winter events. We have a couple of holiday shows. We have a big New Year's Eve gig this year that got postponed from last year. So that's always fun for us to work on the holidays. And the holiday show is about 75% Frankie Valli and 25% rock and roll holiday hits from other artists of that same genre. Otherwise, the regular show is always all just Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons.
That is, we're sort of easing into our way back into things as well, which is what you've got to do. Everybody wants to feel comfortable. Here's, of course, we knew this question was going to be asked. What's your favorite Frankie Valli song?
Oh, gosh. I mean, Can't Take will always hold a special place in my heart. I know I said it before. I sound like a broken record only because of the significance of singing it to my son when he was still in the womb. But I kind of like, when I sing the baritone track, I really like singing Maya's Adored You, and I like singing his solos in the medleys because that track just has a lot of really good solos. He sings Save It For Me. He sings Who Loves You. So I kind of like those two. I think they run a very close second to Can't Take.
I agree with you. Sometimes it's not the lead, but the other singers that have the more interesting vocal line. So, sometimes, like, for example, I always wanted to be a backup singer because the backup folks, in particular for Stevie Wonder, but okay, I'm just putting that out. But anyway, because the backup singers, I mean, besides being able to just like dance and party, they don't necessarily have the pressure of the lead singer, but sometimes they've got these really great vocal lines.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. I mean, and many of them have gone on to have their own careers as well. I think like James Taylor, I think was a background vocalist for Carole King for many years, if I'm correct in that. And he, of course, his own prolific career. And I'm sure there's other artists that are top of my head. But Cher is another one. They showed that in the Cher musical that she was a background vocalist, and then she became her own sensation. So yeah, you never know where that type of gig is going to lead.
So many. I mean, Barry Manilow and Melissa Manchester. And Bette Midler, they were all backup singers for each other. And then they were all able to go on to these great, great careers. We're trying to do a little speed round. I know that we're getting close to the end of our interview, but there's so many exciting things to ask you. Have you been able to stay in touch with the guys during the crazy pandemic? I mean, were you in touch with the guys?
My guys?
Yep, your guys.
Yes, all of them. Because I just had unfortunately, when dates got canceled, I had to say this is getting pushed, this is getting pushed, and then we all just kept tabs on one another and make sure everybody was okay and safe. And many of us have older family members that we live with, so we want to make sure they were, like I got. Believe it or not, we had a private event in December, and I reached out to a few guys who was available. One guy was like, I live with my elder in-laws. I can't take the risk to be out. I was like, totally fine. Like, no one's health is people's health is top of mind for me. Like, that's first class always. So we definitely kept in touch for all sorts of different reasons. And thankfully, we've all been very healthy, and our families as well. So, yeah.
One of our viewers asked, can they watch this interview later? So yes, 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 you can actually watch this program again. It will be up on YouTube under the Queensborough Performing Arts Center. While you're there, you can subscribe to our channel. But yes, you can watch it at a later time. So if there's anything that you missed, you can absolutely watch. You could also make a donation once the show is over. That link is up there, and you can, if you feel so inclined. John, now you have another solo show. I just want to get to this, called A Jersey Voice, Sinatra
Yes.
to Springsteen and everyone in between, right? So
Yes.
who are some of those Jersey performers that you sing in your show, that you tribute in your show?
So the Jersey performers specifically are Frank Sinatra and Bruce Springsteen, which is, like I said, they bookended. And that's why I say, and everyone in between. There's all artists in there from all walks of life, all different areas. Like Dion is one of them. I sing a little Neil Sedaka. He was from Brooklyn, I believe, right, or New York City somewhere. So like that's not all a Jersey voice. A Jersey voice is, because I was in Jersey Boys. This sort of like my is what I hang my hat on. So that's where the title came from. And then originally, the original title when it debuted was A Jersey Voice: Songs and Stories from Beyond the Footlights. But when I was, peddling it around, I reached out to the Performing Arts Center and they said, the title does not sound, people don't know what that is. And I thought, yeah, they're right. So then when I thought about the set list, I started with Frank Sinatra. I end the last part of it with a medley that starts with the song by Springsteen. I thought, well, Sinatra, Springsteen's nice alliteration, and then I just filled in the blanks. I don't do it a whole lot anymore. I do it for one festival here, or sometimes I'll do it for a private event. And it's really, that has taken shape in different forms as well over the years. But it's fun because I get to do some stuff that I don't do with as much regularity as the Four Seasons stuff. Oh, I think we lost Susan again. Let me see. Do we have any comments or questions? Great. So yes, Howard, I do Robert Goulet as well. That's a very good point. Thank you, Jim Schreier, for your lovely comment. I always appreciate you too. I wish I could make small Jim Schreiers and small Howard Tuckers and put them in my pockets, because you guys are ego boosters.
Well, I can't, and of course, I have to apologize for slipping out for a minute. We are having, of course, some technical difficulties, but John, I'm so happy that I'm able to count on you to keep things moving right along. So before we end, I just want to give a shout out to all our viewers tonight. Is there any other question you'd like to ask John or myself? Please go ahead, put it in the comments section now. We want to make sure that everyone's questions get addressed. Also, John, you'll be at Fiesta Italiano, I believe, coming up on July 31st. What is that? Tell us about that.
Sure, that's one of our local Chicago gigs. It's Festa Italiana is one of the biggest Italian parties in the summertime in Chicago. It changed 2 years ago. It moved to Naperville, Naper Settlement in one of the suburbs of Chicago. It's an entire weekend of Italian food, Italian artists, other local really great bands, and we've been a part of it now for the last 6 years. It's run by Star Events, who's one of the premier event planners in the Chicagoland area, and we're thrilled that they invite us back every year. So I actually do an hour of my solo set of A Jersey Voice, and then we'll do our entire 90-minute set right in the back end of that before the three guys and I will have our full 7-piece band behind us. It's always a great time, so I hope people come out for that.
That is so wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that you're working and that we're all being given that opportunity now to get back together and enjoy live theater together the way it's meant to be enjoyed.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for having me tonight and all the great work you guys are doing. Talk about pivot. You guys really made a 180 during this time, and I congratulate you and I thank you on behalf of all the artists you've had on the show and those you continue to employ with the drive-ins as well.
Thank you.
So thank you.
We appreciate that. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you sharing your talent with us. Well,
anytime.
Folks, do join us again for another QPAC Live. We love having you with us. John Michael Coppola, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you in person. We want to see you perform in person here in New York. So as things continue to open, be ready to get that phone call that we're ready to welcome you back. So everybody have a wonderful evening. We hope you'll see you on Tuesday for Name That Tune and Bingo. John, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night, everyone.
You too. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Take care.
Bye now.